We're live, everybody. Hello, welcome everyone to the NEOS tour of the Students in VR, an extension of the Students in VR conference. Nice to see you all. One of the major showcases of what was done by students in here. We're going to come and visit. It is a Cherokee village that was done through the American Indian Resource Center, and with the help of Bodemensch and students and educators alike, all came in to learn NEOS and then built out the village, some of it outside of NEOS, and bring it all in here, and then collaboratively building this this area that is meant to be for a cultural resource where we're able to, well, actually, Bodemensch, I would prefer Bodemensch describe it better, can describe this much better than I can. So I think it'd be more interesting. And if you notice, we're in a classroom right now, and the way to access worlds in NEOS is to actually touch them. And so one person touches the world, they enter into that world, and then what happens is they host that session. And so it's peer-to-peer. So I can host a session with my internet and my computer, then other people can come in and visit that, and then they download the assets, and then they're inside the world. So someone clicks first, they disappear and turn into a ghost, and then from there, you all click on the world and then click join. And once I've loaded in, you'll load in as well. So shall we all go to the Cherokee village or Cherokee town?
Yeah.
So I will start a session. Actually, I already have started a session. Hello, I wait for some people to load in. Wonderful. Oh, this is so performant. It makes my heart happy. You all have done such a wonderful job. Like, if you ever go to other worlds that like are really heavy, sometimes it's really refreshing to come into something that it just blinks on and it loads. It's beautiful. So, Bodemensch, do you mind describing some of what this village is about, and like what some of the goals were and things like that? And same with Inglesi.
Sure. Okay, so I'm Bodemensch across platforms. I work at the American Indian Resource Center in the Cherokee Nation, Tahlequah, Oklahoma, specifically in spatial computing. I'm a program manager of a network of different kinds of spatial labs, and the village is the result of one of the pilots that I've been working on with Mr. Ford and a few of his students, some of whom are here, and then a few others who've worked on this who aren't here. To get us started, the idea, the commission from my nonprofit was to build a social VR school where we could teach and learn our culture, our language, and meet up. I think when we first got started, Mr. Ford, one of our stakeholders said, build a place that has a teepee in the middle so that we can gather together and hear Native stories. Well, these students did way more than that. We had a family, Randy and Judy Starr, who are elders at one of our ceremonial grounds, gave us they let us come into their home and scan. We have a few things I haven't been able to show them, but we have spears and axes and rattles and things. And one of the things was this sketch, which Mr. Starr was really proud of. Now, native lore is often oral, and so there might be a grain of salt with what a particular person has to tell us about what they've donated, but we pass the story along the way we get it. And so what he told us was that this was a page from a textbook that he'd had around when he was a kid, and it represents a trapper's sketch from, he said, the 1600s. This is a kind of idealization of a traditional Cherokee capital town, or mother town, we called them. Before we were moved to Oklahoma, and some of us stayed in North Carolina, we inhabited a pretty big part of what's now the southeastern United States, which would be Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, North Carolina, etc. And we arranged ourselves not by a central tribal government, but by a clan system, which helped us to organize these towns. And so I guess the idea here was that a trapper would have drawn a sketch of the town to give people back home in Europe some idea of how we lived. So we gave this to Mr. Ford and his students, and they proceeded to create this 3D world scale model of this around us, and including, and then I'll be quiet so they can speak for themselves, but when we get to it, I'd like to tell you more about the council house, which is up on this platform mound behind us here. We were hoping to get a little further along before the conference, but I'm kind of happy that we didn't. We're working with a consortium of Native artists, tradition keepers, the Cherokee Living National Treasures, one of whom was supposed to join us this morning. She'll be along shortly. And we've already got a kind of a queue of artifacts and stories to scan in and hopefully add to this world, or versions of it. Yeah. And I think we should finish, as long as I'm done monologuing, I think it's important that we say here that Inglesi by far took charge of this project. It was a multi-horned beast. It took us about a month, and with ease, this young person here kind of took over the group and pulled off where we are now. Yeah.
Talking about implementing the village, a lot of it was just sort of following the reference and images online of houses and then modeling them in outside programs and bringing them in. Once we had the layout, it was just learning Neos and making sure there was performance, because making sure that this was available to as many people as possible so that they could know more. And more people can know more about sort of the culture and and have this experience is very important to us.
So, would you say, like, that being the team lead, what did you find as challenges, and what things did you enjoy about doing this too?
I would say the challenges are what make it fun. And so some of the challenges for this were, again, performance. And one thing about that is interior. So if you see on the compound from the image, we have roughly 90 or 100 houses and interiors in the compound. And we can't have a different interior for every one, because for one reason, you'd have to decorate each house individually, and that would cut on performance. So we had to find a way to do that. We'll also maintain the feeling that every house has an interior, and that it's not just sort of empty, sort of to give it life almost. And so the solution that we found to that was, with the help of Medra and other people in Neos, was with portals. And so if we move over here, it'd probably be easier to show you.
Okay.
So whenever you can see from the side that we're peering into what appears to be an interior with a placeholder bed on the side, an image of what appears to be the inside of a similar housing thing. So if we step inside, you'll notice that we're inside now. But if we walk outside this wall rather than going back through the door, you'll notice no.
Okay.
You'll notice that we are underground. And so each of these houses is going to have a portal with various housings underneath. That way we can have all these houses lead to just a few different interiors. It makes it easy on the people who are filling the interiors, as well as it saves on performance.
Nice. And you can see all the houses from underground much more, since we're kind of very far underneath
Yeah.
the ground. Very nice.
And if we walk back through here, through the wall, we can actually return to the village through the portal which we came through. Or the one that the last person who went to the thing came through. There's still some issues we need to fix. As you notice, we came in the one on the left, but we exited the one on the right. And that's due to they shared the same exit.
Oh, great.
The same underground interior. So the last person to enter that, wherever they came from, is going to be the new exit. And so what we're planning to do is localize that so that every house has its own sort of instance exit, but not really. So it's for every user, they have their own exit rather than every exit having their own exit. Almost like rather than having an interior have one exit, change that exit for every person who's entering, but only for them.
Okay. So for people that would be like students that would want to be working in here, or other people that would want to work in collaborative environments, what would you suggest people do as far as like building like in Neos? Like what kind of suggestions would you have for someone that's a newcomer that is just trying to learn this type of thing?
Mess with it. And I've always found that the best way to learn is hands-on learning, or at least for me. There are some great tutorials online, though, for those that are visual and tend to do better with tutorials. But I often find that messing with it and sort of doing small projects to learn through Neos is a major step. It definitely has a steep learning curve, but once you get used to it, I feel like you really can do anything. With quotes.
So shall we kind of explore around? Like,
Great. Yeah. Before we do that, let me show you the council house, which
Wonderful.
I think, we're really happy with this.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. That was the goal, was to explore up to here. Pretty excited.
All right.
This is a super exciting space.
This is very cool. So, yeah, we've been working as furiously as possible during quarantine with our culture advisors. And in one of those incarnations, we had our executive director, Pam, who was one of the keynotes for the Students in VR conference. She's an well-respected elder here in our community. She's been, I'll give you a sense of what that is as we work together. But she was here on the social screen. We've got a big, 80-inch TV for people to see. And I could hear her in the room, as soon as we walked into this. So
Wonderful.
The thing is, the council house, we have a council house at the Cherokee Heritage Center in Tahlequah, a model of this, which would have been both the spiritual and the political center of our tribe. If you'll notice, great, Iglesi took care to make sure that it's geometrically sound. So it has seven surfaces, each representing one of our 7 clans. So what would happen is we would have a mother fire right here in the middle, And since it's a mother town, at certain times of the year, people would come from all over the Cherokee Nation and sit as organized with their family. This might be the only time in years you would see your distant cousins or your aunts because they would live some far away place. And since our kinship is organized by clan, you would sit, let's say, over here by, this is my clan, Paint Clan, for example. So I would sit over here with my mom. My wife and kids would sit somewhere else because our clan system is organized by matriline. So you get the clan that your mother has, and you don't get it by marriage. The taboo then is that you don't marry into your clan. So what we're doing here is we're representing the clan system inside the council house. But what I wanted to tell you guys about is in the midst of bringing in the cultural consultants, I was able to put Charlotte Wolf, who is also a tradition keeper here, into my headset to explore Neos. And I dropped her in here, and I didn't know how to screen record it, but she immediately started saying, yes, this is pretty close. Did you know this would be made with what we call the 7 thunders? And I said, what is that? And she said, it's 7 specific kinds of wood that you use for the different parts of the building, and certain kinds of wood that would be buried underneath. And so it just upon an approval meeting, we already had folks standing in here interpreting. So as soon as we can get
Wonderful.
from where we are to getting those people in, this thing will come alive, like you said.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I look forward to seeing a lot of the different cultural events, maybe things recorded out of people telling their stories, to just really share this so much of the population can understand something that maybe is just like in some kind of, public place that people don't really know about. Like when you hear a Hollywood story, a version of things is so distorted, and it's much better to have something that's much closer to the heart of the people that actually live it.
Yeah. And then so over behind you, Inglesi, that right there is what I just love about this. First of all, the image itself was made by another Neos user. His name is Curious VR. He's a brilliant builder. He came and helped me learn how to use my Evo camera, and so this is actually his shot. But this is me making this object. Now, what I love about these is this just won't come across in the stream. The effect of SBS in VR is one of the things that is VR unique. If you're not seeing that in a headset, you're not really getting the whole effect. Now, in here, this is me making this object, which is a canon. It's this is a stump that we burn out, and then we crush acorns in here and make bread. The making of the thing is itself a traditional craft, and so I made this at home, and then I was able to use a photogrammetry application to get it into Blender, and then I just took the noise off. The idea here would be that we would have fields of people go to the field, gather the interview, maybe something about the making of the object, the story, and the scan of the object, and get all of that into here, so that we'd have both a repository and a kind of living exhibit. Yeah, this one is not meant to be part of the final product, but just to show the process. Yeah. So, yeah, there we are.
I love that this isn't just some sort of museum piece where you go and see something that's like almost people, when they think of museum, it's a dead culture idea. And I love that it's something living and breathing that people will be able to inhabit, and especially as the metaverse keeps growing, that this becomes a space of like welcoming and sharing and learning. Very exciting.
So yeah, that's where we are here. I imagine that these guys will have more interesting stuff to show. I'm hoping that once we get this thing open and stable, we'll be able to leave it up for folks to come and visit. Once the authors are happy with it, we'll put a stable version of it. So this we'll consider this kind of a soft open, but sometime around fall, hopefully we'll be able to do something for the public.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd love to see even events in here where people get to come from all over the world just to learn and be able to visit with everyone. I love this type of cross-cultural connection. Oh, it's beautiful. So, is there anything else that you would guys like to talk about? Like, what's your thoughts on the village? We should definitely fly up eventually, though, and look at the whole village from, because I mean, that's kind of the beauty of doing this, is you can kind of
It's
shrink
the
yourself
scale,
down.
yeah.
Yeah. And so,
It turns into a tabletop object, which is just amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
just everything.
There
And
we go.
you all might want to get into broadcast mode if we can't hear each other, or shout mode at least. I love it. We're just everything is. And then you can even grab the image, look at it. It's very interesting. But the future of creation is just people able to simultaneously create in real life and then just bring it straight into here, and it becomes almost seamless. And everyone just from all around, not having to be worried about being bound by the same environment, same space or location. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, look at that. The dynamics work even at across scale. That's so amazing. Did we lose Mr. Ford?
I'm just
Not sure.
there. So it matches up. There you
Well, I think that's the end of the tour, really. It was only for an hour, so thank you for everyone for coming and viewing. And nah, we'll probably. So yeah, we'll have to send that for another time, I guess. Well, thank you for coming and watching. And as you can see, this is pretty spectacular, and it's only going to be getting better. And so, thank you for watching.